Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another Title Tuesday. We got some great sessions going on this month as we're talking about how to communicate with title companies or the best ways or some tips to communicate with title companies and things. So last week we were kind of talking about basically kind of being on there, and I kind of mentioned the end of it, of like being the conduit to the deal, kind of being that person kind of in the middle. Just because you send it over to title doesn't mean that your job is done. And that's what I want to kind of talk about today with Eric Downing here from Hawker Title is basically, hey, when there's every now and then there's things that pop up on a file that, is out of their hands or they need another document or anything like that, that's what you're there for. That's what you're there to help out for. So by checking up on things of like, hey, how's everything going on this file? Is everything okay? Do you need anything? Or yeah, there's sometimes things pop up of like, yeah, Brian, I've been trying to reach out to the seller for the last, couple of days. I need this one other paper signed, but I can't hear from them. Like, okay, that's where I need to step in. I need to reach out to them too, see if I can get it signed for them, do those types of things. I'm not going to just leave that up to the title company to do all those things. They do an amazing job. They have a lot of things. I'm not their only investor. I got to keep that in mind. There are a lot of other people that they're working with. There are a lot of other files that they're dealing with. And also they don't work for me. They're working for that seller, for me, that buyer. They're working for everybody within there. They're looking out for everybody's best interest. So the least I could do is help them out with what I need to. And if it's reaching out to the seller or making a communication or doing something or just keeping everybody in the loop and keeping everybody involved, I think is a big thing that wholesalers can do. So Eric, I'm sure you guys always see it too from other ends where you're getting communication from a seller, from a wholesaler, from a buyer, all different angles, and there's some different stories and people don't know what's going on and things. But as a wholesaler, for a wholesaler to kind of be that person that reaches out to the title company that can kind of work with them and help them out and be a problem solver, how important is that to kind of keeping some of these deals together?
It's extremely important. It's extremely important. And I should mention first, and you and I kind of had this conversation off air, but I know that being a wholesaler, there's a lot of concern with, am I doing things wrong? Am I breaking any laws? Certainly there are a lot of states out there that have put a lot higher restrictions on wholesalers than Indiana has. And really, I think it's because of things like this, what Brian and Simple Wholesaling are doing to help educate the investor community, that is helping us not have those added layers of restrictions. But ultimately, what you can't do, you cannot allow your buyer or seller to believe that you are representing them in this transaction as a realtor. That's number one. What you can do is help them in the transaction because you have a vested interest as the wholesaler. Either you're assigning it or you're double closing it. You can't just throw up your hands and say, I don't have anything else to do in this transaction, so I'm going to let title. Because here's what happens oftentimes. Keep in mind, most of the time, the people you're working with to buy a home from, this is not the same people necessarily buying it, but the people that you're writing a purchase agreement to that are the seller, they're not as sophisticated all the time. They don't trust when they get a random phone call from the title company. They don't trust that. There's a lot of things in this world going on that are setting off red flags for people, phone calls, emails. They don't trust it. So we'll find oftentimes people just won't talk to us. They don't know us, so they go back to that investor, they go back to that person they wrote the contract with, and they want to ask those questions about, is this legit? This Hawker keeps calling me. Is this a real company? And normally we get through and we get what we need. But in those instances where we do struggle, where we need to get something, you're the one that has that relationship. Somebody from your team or you yourself went and physically put together a purchase agreement and had a conversation and got to know these folks and got to understand their needs. And they have laid an immense amount of trust at your feet. And if you just kind of walk away from it and say like, well, I got nothing else to do, title will handle that. That's okay, we'll handle it, but we may not be as efficient. So asking the questions like Brian said, is there anything I can do? You may often hear back, nope, I think we got this under control. We're just waiting on something. It usually takes this amount of time to get. But then again, we might say, hey, Brian, we've been calling this person and we can't get a response. It's likely they don't trust us. They don't know that we're legit. Can you maybe reach out and either A, tell them that they need to answer our calls, or B, here's a form that we just need them to sign so that we can do something. So I think that's important because I know people are scared. They've been scared because, they don't want to break any laws and get in any trouble. But at the same time, while you're not representing them in the transaction, you are part of the transaction. You should be that conduit. You should be the person consuming the information from title, consuming the information from the different pieces of the transaction and then disseminating that to your buyer and seller.
Yep. So no, really good stuff. I think it's really important. And it's just, on that topic of communication, it's all when you're communicating with a title company too, it's coming into when you first send that purchase agreement, when you get that purchase agreement signed, you say to your seller, hey, I'm going to send this to the title company. I'm sending it to Hawker Title or ABC Title Company, whoever it is. You're letting them know they're going to be reaching out to you. If you get a phone call from ABC Title Company, like, let them know that, like, hey, this is, that's who you're working with and stuff. So, and then your buyer, same thing too. Just communication all the way around, making sure everybody's in the loop is very, very important. So hopefully this helped you out with this Title Tuesday today, and we will see you guys next week with our last one for the month of April.